This is my husband Christian. He's been practicing bonsai since before we met. Here, at the Eisei and Bonsai School, he studies under the tutelage of Bjorn Bjorholm. To him, as to many who engage in this art form, bonsai facilitates a connection to nature, problem solving, and tranquility. Bonsai, which directly translates from Japanese as planted in a shallow container, is above all else a living art form. Much like a sculpture, it is an expression of the artist based on certain elements and techniques captured in a moment in time. Bonsai originated in China with the idea of potency in miniatures, that recreating elements of nature on a reduced scale, the student could gain access to its magical properties. The smaller the reproduction was from the original, the more magically charged it was likely to be. The earliest practices date back 2,300 years. The Japanese obsession with Chinese culture in the centuries that followed brought penjing to Japan about 1,200 years ago. Finding beauty in severe austerity, Zen monks crafted their tray compositions in specific styles to evoke the entire universe in a single potted tree. Thus, the practice spread to the educated and those seeking enlightenment. During the Japanese medieval era, bonsai grew to become a symbol of status and power amongst the aristocracy.
So there was a guy named Ashikaga Yoshimasa. He was the shogun during this period. Shogun just translates to barbarian quelling generalissimo, which is a really cool phrase. But this guy, Ashikaga Yoshimasa, in the 1400s, there was a war going on in all of Japan. It was called the Onin Wars, but specifically in Kyoto, and that's where the government was based. So during that period, the city got burned down. This is in the 1470s. It got burned down 4 or 5 times during his reign, and he decided, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. I don't want anything to do with politics. So he built a facility on the east side of the city called Ginkakuji, which is the Silver Pavilion. He left the shogunate, went and became kind of a recluse in his little temple there, and started importing and studying Sung period paintings, Southern Sung period paintings from China, which were from the 1200s, so a couple hundred years prior to this period here. But these paintings were monochromatic scroll paintings, very simple in design, a lot of negative space in there. Basically, that became sort of his aesthetic that he pursued. He pursued that in his own paintings. He pursued it in, actually there's evidence that he was interested in bonsai at the time, which is like planted landscapes, like bonsai landscapes, basically penjing. So he pursued it through that. And a lot of what is considered today to be Japanese aesthetics, that sort of subdued, natural, very simplistic, sort of infused into Japanese culture, originated from him. Right? Not necessarily that he made those terms up, but that he reinterpreted a lot of those previous terms from the Heian period to mean slightly different things, but all around this theme of subtle beauty, essentially, natural beauty. It was this idea of furyu that he was pursuing, refined taste in simple and beautiful natural things, basically.
Around the year 1800, Japanese scholars began to pursue bonsai as a matter of craft and design, rather than the earlier mystical endeavor. The following century saw different styles develop, books and magazines published, and shows organized to exhibit the now widely accessible art. In the 1930s, Tokyo's Metropolitan Museum of Art began its official annual shows. Bonsai exploded in Europe and the US as soldiers coming home after World War II brought back souvenirs. In America, both the East and West Coast saw an influx of bonsai enthusiasts, with clubs forming in New York and the San Francisco Bay Area in the 1950s. Today, the Eastern school of bonsai leans towards traditional practices, while the Western style evolved into a wilder, more free-form approach. Despite its widespread availability today, bonsai may sometimes be considered a horticultural pastime for retirees, but its popularity is rising among the younger generation as we strive to reconnect ourselves with nature in a beautiful, ancient practice.